is going on, y'all? Thank y'all so much for joining me. My name is Chris Hennessy. This is Ending the Stigma, where we talk about all things justice involved, trafficking involved, addiction involved. And let me just say hi to Alina Donahue. This girl right here came on my show last year, and I absolutely love me some Alina Donahue. Just her story and just everything she does. So it's good to see you, Alina. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Yolanda Christensen is here. I think I just connected with her. Maybe not. I don't know. I've connected with and I'm not even bragging, but all this stuff like posting about going to Memphis, and since my brother died, like it's kind of blown up a little bit, and I can't keep track of who I'm friends with now and who I'm not. So yeah, this is Ending the Stigma. Like I said, we talk about all things justice related. Yeah, I love you too, sis. I need to get you back on and figure out like what you're doing now, because I know you've had some major changes going on. So you might want to come back on the show if you want to and just talk about it. Yeah, Ben, you know Alina too. That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. My boy Ben. There's Lori right there. That's Josh Sneed's mama. How are you doing, Lori? I'm got all distracted. Hey, Janae, how are you doing? I hate that. Like, I'm so glad you got to see your kids on Saturday, but I hate that you missed the jam session there on whatever that street is there at Rebos. We had a blast, but I'm so glad you got to see your kids. There's my sister Kara. Look, y'all, I'm scrolling out on the comments, so y'all just give me a minute. I like to say hi to everyone, make everyone know that they're welcome and all that kind of stuff. And y'all really like, yeah, Alina, send me a DM, please, like right now, so I do not forget, because if you don't, I will absolutely forget by the time the show's over. So send me a DM or send me a calendar link or whatever. And yeah, North Parkway. Thanks, Kara. And we'll get something going. Chris Bobbitt is in the house, coming to you from 1428 Woodward. We're turning dope houses into hope houses. Come on. Boy, these comments got me distracted and got me happy. Like, I love it. All right. So, and here's what I'm thinking too, y'all. Like, I've been doing Ending the Stigma for 3.5 years. With everything that's been going on with The Raven is Here and teaming up with We Fight Monsters, I'm sort of throwing around the idea of rebranding into The Raven is Here podcast. It'd still be the same type of content. But I think it would be more on brand for what we're trying to do, especially for getting the name The Raven is Here out there. I think I'm just thinking on it. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in my head. Hey, John Cox, love you too, bro. It was good to meet you this week. So real quick, before we jump into it, we don't have a website up yet, but we have had a ton of people asking us about the hats, The Raven is Here hats. And then also our version of the We Fight Monsters Fentanylist Terrorism shirt. It says, lace up, strap up, we're going to war, hashtag fentanylist terrorism. Y'all may not be able to see. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to look all kinds of crazy. But it has the Raven is Here logo on the back. Ton of people have been asking us how we can order those, and we've been putting them off until we get the website up. Yeah, I love it, Ben. Like, dude, it blessed my heart whenever, after this dude hugged me on Thursday, he was like, bro, that is a freaking awesome hat. And I was able to hand him one and be like, here you go. And he wore it all weekend. Anyway, we've had a ton of people asking about the hats, a ton of people asking about these shirts. So if you want one between now and tomorrow night, send me a DM with your size and your address, and we're going to get some made and we're going to ship them out. They're going to be $30 plus probably $6 or $7 shipping. We've got to get a quote on that tomorrow. It's going to be somewhere around there. So if you want one, shoot me a DM, shoot Kara, my sister, Kara Henson, a DM. If you're not connected to either one of us, hell, shoot Ben or Jess a DM and they'll get it to us. Like, just, if you want one, let us know and we'll get it to you, because we're fixing to make an order with our merch girl. And we're just going to manually ship them out by hand if y'all want one. So, my guest tonight, I met through, here or LinkedIn, either one. Shoot me a DM on LinkedIn if you want to. Crystal, you can shoot. I don't know how you shoot me one on YouTube. Um, I don't know how you do that on LinkedIn or Facebook, either one. Um, Sorry, y'all. I had a brain fart. There's a lot going on in the comments right now. I'm trying to keep up with. All right. Anyway, so my guest tonight, I met through Ben Owen. I've met a lot of really, really amazing people over the past couple of months through Ben and Jess and through We Fight Monsters and the work that we're doing. And I absolutely love it because not only are they just like amazing people with amazing stories that are just living life to the fullest now after a life of addiction, it's like an unending well of guests for the show. So I absolutely love that. Like I love being able to sit down and talk to people. Next week, Jennifer Farley is going to be on. If you saw my Facebook post today, I had a really amazing conversation with her sitting on the porch on Parkway, just talking about her story. So she's got an awesome story. She's going to be on next week. But that's how I met Kristin. She reached out to me and was like, hey, I like what you're doing. I support you, yada, yada, yada. By the way, I know Ben. I'm a trafficking survivor. And I was like, let's get you on the show. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring out Kristin Vaughn. Hi, Kristin.
Hi. Yeah. So my ADHD is where Ben says it's transferable. He and I shared ADHD passion. And I'm looking through the comments too. And let me just say, like, Alina Donahue, hands down, one of my
Alina.
favorite people on the planet.
She is, man. Like, I love that girl
Dude,
to
she's
absolute
amazing.
death, man.
She's amazing. Like
Yes.
she's done so much work within the law enforcement community, and like
Yes.
she's one of the survivors that really elevates other survivors. That like shows us like we can be professionals. Like we don't have to just come tell our sad stories. Like we can train, we
Right.
can work, we can do these professional things. And she is someone that has definitely paved the way for a lot of survivors. And I just really wanted to, I appreciate her for that, and I wanted to acknowledge her for that. And I see so many of my other friends, and it makes me feel so good on here. There's Yolanda and Ben and Cherry and Lindsay and Chris, and
Lindsay. Yep.
this is exciting. Yeah,
It is exciting. And that's one thing I love about Alina is like she doesn't focus on surviving. She focuses on the thriving aspect of it.
correct.
And like, you look at her now and she's a badass chick, man. Like
She
she
really, really
owns the
is.
room. She's eloquent in the way she speaks about things,
Hmm.
and she absolutely refuses to be a victim. And
Yeah.
just the fact that she can take what she went through and like just like you're doing now, it's not just her, but she can take what she went through and train law enforcement on what to look for, how to
Mhm.
look at things. Well, this is
Well,
this, that's
a lot
that.
a lot of organizations they kind of pit survivors against each other, and they want to
Yeah,
elevate some survivors over others, and they want to keep they create a professional victimhood mentality. And there are many
yeah,
survivors that I work with, that I'm friends with, that sort of like that's their bread and butter. Is like, oh, let me come
yeah.
tell my sad story. And Alina, hands down, is one of those people that does not do that. And she's like, nope, I'm here to tell you about
No,
like what we can do, how we can fix this. Like, no, I love her. She's great.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and I
Like she
see
did not let
our
her
Fire
past
Force
define her.
leader is on here too now.
Yeah, Fire Force leader Steve
And Jess.
Baumgartner
And Jess is here.
and Jess. Yep. Say, look, I'm in a
Yee.
group text with Ben and Steve and a few other men that like we all have a Bible study on Friday mornings. Um,
Awesome.
and so we're all in a group text together too. And Steve Baumgartner drops the craziest jokes and memes and stuff in there. And I'm just like, bro, don't you have to work right now or something? Like I
Steve is a great dude. So let me
don't.
tell you
But
a little story about
he
Steve.
always makes me laugh.
I'll tell you a little story about Steve. I like cussed him and loved him at the same time. And so when I went to Memphis last October, um, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring some hams," and I was like, "Awesome." Well, we had two refrigerators. We were cooking for I don't know, been about 200 some people, and and me and Kirsten and a couple other people and Lindsay and we all went to Sam's and we bought all this food, and we come home and both refrigerators are full of hams. There's nowhere to put the food that we had. So I'm like, Steve, really? And he was like, oh, you can give them to the families or you can give them to the people or the residents. But there were all these hams. And so thank you, Steve, for that. But that's my little funny story about Steve.
Yeah. All right,
Oh,
so
and
let's dig it.
Lexi's here. Yeah, hey Lexi.
Yeah. So Crystal Phoenix Rising is talking about, is that really your sister in real life?
No, no,
Oh,
Crystal's
okay,
my
okay,
sister. Crystal,
okay,
Lexi, Yolanda, Cherry, a lot of people that are on this call are my sisters. I have a
okay,
little
awesome.
brother.
I love it.
Yeah.
So anybody, like if y'all want to send me a connection request on LinkedIn or Facebook, like I'm terrible about it. I don't go through after the show's over and look at all the comments and respond to them. That's what I teach my clients to do. I just don't do it. So if y'all want to send me a connection request, I will more than gladly accept. Jade
I'm
Rogers.
sorry. I'm
Hey,
laughing at Ben's comment about Jade
I
having
know.
it for weeks.
Hey, did you catch the show on Saturday with Jade?
No, I didn't. I saw the one with Ben and Jess. I did not
Oh,
see the one with Jade.
I went
No.
live from Ben and Jess's house with Jade.
Oh, I
First
hate I missed
time
it.
I've ever, like I've always done virtual, like you and I are right now. I've never sat down with someone sitting right next to me and
Mhm.
had a conversation with them. And let me tell you, that was amazing. Like I was a
She's a
little
good
nervous
one.
at first because
She's a good one to have a conversation
oh,
with. She's
she
been
is,
through it, dude.
man. Yep. Like I've never, ever, like I'm introverted. So like the barrier of virtual is good for me. And so I was a little worried about doing it, but Jade and I had a great conversation. And like, if I ever get to where I can afford it and build a big studio and have people come into me to do it, like having that one-on-one face-to-face was just, it was good. It was awesome.
Yeah, Jade's a sweetheart and her
Yeah,
sweet
she's a
baby.
sweetheart.
I think
And I
you
got
know
to
her.
meet Leah, and Ben and Leah
Leah's
came
like
on too. And
Leah's the We Fight
yes,
Monsters baby. We love Leah.
she is. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. I have videos of me holding her and playing with her and singing with her and all that.
Oh my gosh! And so the
Crystal
song that
Behe. Okay.
yeah, the song that you guys posted. Oh my gosh! Like Ben posted it. It was the song when they were playing like the 99. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
I was just in tears. Like I honestly like. I mean, I have a lot to say about a lot of stuff, but I honestly am also as equally interested in hearing about your trip to Memphis because I'm telling you what, going to Memphis was literally one of the most impactful things of my
Yep.
life. That
Yep.
was a true
Without a
experience.
doubt.
Like, supporting Ben and Jess, and We Fight Monsters and Josh and Chris and everybody and Robert online is one thing. Being there, being with
It's
them
totally different.
is totally different. And it's insane. And what they're doing is so important and it is so amazing.
So let me take like 2 minutes and talk about it real
Yeah.
quick. Y'all are going to see over the next few days a series of posts come out. I do really, really well, like processing it slowly and then writing about it. And I'm probably going to go live at some point in the next week or two by myself and talk about it. But like you said, supporting them and seeing them online is one thing. We knew we wanted to take what they're doing, bring it back here and replicate it. But going up there and just being thrown right smack in the middle of everything and everybody like that, I got clean because I went to prison. Like I was doing drugs up until a couple of days before I got locked up. And going to prison is how I got clean. So I was never involved in any kind of recovery community. So going and seeing how these people are, and I'm not like they're all open about it, but if I start mentioning names, I'm going to forget people, but they're just all so loving and welcoming and warming. And then like the culmination of the whole weekend was Saturday night. We're sitting on the porch on Parkway. My brother-in-law is playing the guitar, and I was kind of emotional. And I posted about this earlier, but I was kind of emotional that night already because, that's kind of what we do as a family. My brother-in-law, my dad, my brother Eric, the one that passed, they'd all get around, they'd play guitars and sing, and we'd hang out and do whatever. And it was just a good time. Well, Josh is sitting there singing and playing. And, I'm just thinking about Eric and thinking about how I wish he was here because he was so friendly. Like, bro would literally, like, he'd make friends with his pen right here and, like, friend it on Facebook. And, like, that'd be his BFF. You know what I mean? How good he would be at all of this, but we wouldn't be doing this if he hadn't died. So it was like this catch-22 thing going on in my head. I'm sitting there and I'm just sitting there. And Ben looks at me and he goes, bro, what the hell is wrong with you, man? And he came up and he sat down next to me. And I said, man, I'm just thinking about my brother. And I kind of got choked up and he put his arm around me. He said, "Man, you're like me. You can't hide it. It was written all over your face. I thought you were pissed off about something." I said, "No, bro. Like it's a great night. I'm just thinking about my brother." Well, then Josh played "Give Heaven Some Hell" by Hardy, which was one of the songs that was on the slideshow. And if you know my brother, y'all didn't know my brother. There's very few of you watching that knew my brother, but that is my brother. Like every truck he had, he deleted it, souped it up, jacked it up, put mud tires on it. He was a beer drinking, just happy go lucky dude. Like, but he loved the Lord. So that song right there has special meaning. So I made it all the way through filming Josh playing it. And as soon as I hit stop and put my phone in my pocket, I lost it. Absolutely lost it. And Ben, he just wrapped me up. He held me and I cried and I was sobbing and all that. Well, I walked to the truck. I get a bottle of water. I come back. I'm kind of clearing my head. And I just sit out on the porch steps. And Jennifer Farley walks up to me. She gives me a hug. I've been friends on Facebook with her for a couple of months now. She gives me this is the first time I'd ever met her in person, was that night. She gives me a hug. She sits down right next to me. And she starts talking about some of the loss she's experienced. A lot of loss. Some of it to drugs, some of it not, just a lot of loss. And it turned into this beautiful conversation of that song, Reckless Love, I swear was written for her because God chased her down for a while, like relentlessly. And so the night ended on just this high note of now I have this new sister who I love with all my heart, but I also got to hear a really amazing, and she's going to be on next Monday, 1 week from today. She's going to be on to tell her story. Y'all don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, she had me mesmerized for a solid hour. Like if it hadn't been so late, we'd have kept talking. Like y'all do not want to miss it. Anyway, enough about all that. Let's get into Kristin.
No, that's awesome. And I'll just say this, like, Ben has this really weird way of looking directly at you and being like, I know what's wrong with you, but I'm not going to say that I know what's wrong with you, but I know what's wrong with you. And so, yeah, and I've dealt with that with him. But him and Jess are just so in tune to people, and they're so in tune to what's going on, especially, I mean, all over the world, obviously, but, all in their community, in their friends, like,
Oh
we
my
talk about
gosh.
friends and we talk about families and we talk about brothers and sisters. Like these are people that literally embody that. And so, I'm
Yeah.
grateful to them. I worked with them for a while and, and I support them and I advocate for them constantly. And I really care about their mission and what they're doing for sure.
Yeah, I for sure do too, man. Like they're just amazing people. And I'm not going to talk too much. I know I've already rambled on enough. I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I'm still kind of formulating how I want my post to go over the next week and how I want a live stream to go, where I'll just kind of lay it all out. And I'm going to do a lot of rambling. I'll talk for an hour probably. So y'all stay tuned. It'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday night that I do that. I'm going fishing Friday night, but it'll probably be Wednesday or Thursday night. All right, Kristin, now that I've rambled and now that I've gotten all this off, tell us about you. Like you're a trafficking survivor. You're working to develop some apps and some technology and doing some cool things. You travel all over the country speaking. But let's start off with a little bit of your story and how you got into being trafficked. And I'll just kind of let you tell however much or little that you want to.
Yeah. Okay. So, I am born and raised Southwest Virginia. I'm about I don't know, maybe like and these, I'm so ADHD. I'm gonna have to move these comments. Like, I love that you guys are
So
commenting.
I don't remember. I'm not on the guest side very often.
Yeah,
But I
no, but I
think
love
if
all
you
these
click
comments.
that chat, if you click the little chat icon, it'll hide it.
It's okay. I'm just gonna shield my eyes. Okay, I'm gonna just
Okay.
make myself ignore it because I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you back. But no.
Right.
So I was trafficked. I'm from Southwest Virginia. I was actually, so the way that it all started happening was I was in law school. Um,
Oh,
grew up
wow.
in a very privileged life with
Mm-hmm.
parents of very good means. Um,
Mm-hmm.
every advantage. So I know we talk a lot about the ACE scores, adverse childhood experiences. So like
Mm-hmm.
people that children that have been abused or neglected or Have gone through things with their parents. Like, did you have a parent that was an alcoholic, or did you have a parent that harmed you? Like, my ACE score is 0. Like, I lived a very, very privileged, wonderful childhood, wonderful life. And I still got trafficked. And so for a long time, I didn't think that my story was very important. Because,
Mm-hmm.
well, here, I'll get to that in just a second. But so I was at a very prestigious college in Northern Virginia. I was in law school, and I actually was in a sorority, and I went to a frat party, and to me and two of the other girls that were there, we got dosed with GHB. Now, this
Mm-hmm.
was back in 19, no, this is back in 2000. This was in 2000. And
I
so,
actually took GHB one time and
yeah.
I was not impressed, but it may not have been a strong enough dose to do anything
Well,
to me,
it
but I
it
was
knocked
not
us.
impressed with it.
Yeah, it knocked us completely out. Like, we all three woke up literally naked in this frat house.
Mm.
And we were like, how do we get here?
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up, it was actually the first time that I'd ever had sex, full disclosure, at 21 years old. And I got pregnant. And so I was in college. And I had, I had a lot of, I wasn't in law school. Let me just correct that real quick. I wasn't in law school. I was in the pre-law program.
Right,
So,
right.
but that was like my life's dream, was for me to be an attorney. And like, that's what I care about. And that's what I care about, law and policies and all of that. And that was everything that I wanted to do. So I was so excited to be in school. And so that happened. I got pregnant. And my parents would actually send me a little bit of money each week just to kind of live off of. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, but my mom or dad may be listening, and they know all of this. They may be on here. I'm not sure, but they would send me, I don't know, 50, $75 a week just to kind of live off of. I saved that money up so that I could go to Planned Parenthood, and I had an abortion, which to this
Mm.
day I regret.
You
Which
know,
is
let me just
called,
stop you right there.
yeah,
I haven't talked to too many people that have had an abortion, like not very
yeah,
many at all. But every person I've talked to regrets it. I've never talked to a single person that has been like, I'm glad I did that.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it may have
um,
taken them 20 years to get to that point, but
yeah.
I've never talked to a single person. So
Well,
anyway, I'm pro life, so I had to throw that in
yeah.
there.
I mean, I'm pro whatever you, as in that situation, feel like you need to do for your body. At that time, I do feel like that I made a rash decision. I feel like that there were a lot of other options for me that I did not explore. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely something that I regret, because
Yeah.
of the fact that now, since then I've not been able to get pregnant. So having children is out of the picture for me,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
So but
No, for real. You're good. I
yeah.
get it.
So I went through that, and I think that my counselors and stuff at college called my parents and were like, she's not going to class. Like, I was like in this huge depression, and they were like, you got to come get her. So my parents came and got me. They took me to treatment. I was drinking. I was like using every drug that I could find, because I was just so like, oh, I failed out of this like amazing program that I was in, that I was so excited about, that I'd worked so hard for. Like, I was really successful in, like, elementary, middle school, high school, like everything. Like, I did so well in like my entire life. Like, literally on career day in second grade, I dressed up as an attorney. Like, I always wanted to be an attorney. Like, this is my thing. But now I'm leaving Northern Virginia, going back to Southwest Virginia. I'm going into a situation where I don't know anybody. I'm in a new city, and I'm walking to work. So as I'm walking to, I had a house and everything. And as I was walking to work, these girls would just start like, I think the way that it started off was like, hey, can we bum a cigarette? And then it was like, it just kind of went from there, because I would have to walk to work, or I have to walk to the bus stop. And
Mm-hmm.
come to find out, months later, these girls were actually paid to groom me. So there used to be these, that TLC song, like, hollering at me out of the left hand side of his best friend's ride. So these
Yeah,
dudes would drive
scrubs.
by, yeah, these dudes would drive by on the street and would just be like, "Hey," and I would just totally ignore them. I literally had a chef jacket on, chef pants, just my book bag, just walking to work, whatever, and I would totally ignore them. And so they found a way in with other women, and
Hmm.
they they groomed me. And so it started off at the very basic foundation of it was, hey, we'll buy you a pack of cigarettes. Like I would go in the store and like go to pay for stuff and they would pay for it. And then then they started hanging out with me and I had been clean at that time. And then they started like, hey, do you want to smoke some weed? And do you want, and next thing I know, I'm like full on in a crack addiction and a heroin addiction, two things I had never done before. And
Yeah.
then I obviously lose my job because you can't keep a job if you're smoking crack and doing heroin.
Right.
And so they were like, "Oh, you can move in with us," and that was literally the start of the House of Horrors for me. So the
Yeah.
house that I went and stayed with them, found out that the guys had actually paid them to like bring me in or whatever, and they would leave and come back with money and dope. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? I was so naive. Like, I was so, like, my parents gave me such an amazing upbringing that, and again, this is in early 2000s when, like, trafficking was not a word. Like, trafficking
Right.
it wasn't a word. And so, we didn't know about any of that. I just knew that,
Right.
like, this is something I could do. And in my brain, in my 20-year-old brain, 22-year-old brain, I was like, I'm doing this anyway. Why not get paid for it?
Yeah.
Um, and when you have a raging drug addiction, it made sense at the time. And
You
then
know, and I
about
was talking to Ben about
yep,
that, not to interrupt you real quick, but I
no,
was
you're
talking
fine.
to Ben about that, about one of the people we met on the block. And he made the comment, and it sounds harsh, but it's just the harsh reality of it. He said, once you start selling your you know what for drugs and you realize that it's really that easy physically
It
to get,
yeah,
not emotionally or mentally, but it's really that easy to do this to get your desired outcome. He said it's over.
yeah. And it is just as much. It can become just as much an addiction as, and not even. It wasn't even like a sexual addiction. It was an
Right.
addiction to like, oh, this is easy. I need this dope. I need these things. And it wasn't always about dope. It was about a place to stay. It was
Mm-hmm.
about food to eat. It was about not getting my ass whooped.
Mm-hmm.
So it was super easy to do. But then
Mm-hmm.
when I realized, I don't know, it was like 8 months in, and I was like, oh my God, Kristen, what are you doing with your life? Like, this is not
Mm-hmm.
what you will, this is not what you want to do. And by that time, and I was like, I literally tried to leave. And before then, I could walk to the store, I could go on dates by myself, I could do whatever I wanted to do. But finally, one day when I was like, you know what? And I packed all my shit up and I put it in my book bag and I was leaving, and they were like, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going home, and
Right. I'm going,
they were like, no, you're not. And
like
they,
I just had this envision of Cartman from South Park. Screw you
yeah, I'm
guys. I'm
leaving.
going home.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, "Oh no, you're not." And then I even like tried, and I was like, "Oh whoa, maybe I shouldn't have done it that way." So I like even tried to fake it to be like, "I'm going to stay at my friend's house," and like, and they were like, "Oh no," and like they once they knew that I was ready to leave, they were like, "Nope, not happening." And so there was in this house is it's on Holly Street in Roanoke, Virginia, and the house is so nefarious that the city about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, they razed it to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
The house no longer exists. But there was a basement there, and there was a padlock on the outside, and there were me and four other women that were kept in there. And the only time that we were let out was for us to have dates, or this is kind of funny in I guess, a dark humor sort of way, but so let's just be clear that the dope dealers are almost 100% the human traffickers. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and dope dealers, as many people well know, will trade dope for food stamps. So on
Mm-hmm.
holidays, and I was a chef. So on holidays, they would come get me out of the basement. They would give me $2,000 or $3,000 worth of food stamps. And this also is back when there were the actual food stamps. And then there are and food stamp cards, and to go and cook food for them and all their dope boy friends. And other
Mm-hmm.
than that, and being let out to, like, that was the only time we got out. Well, my dad found out where I was, and my dad does not play about his daughter. And my dad
Mm-hmm.
found out where I was, and he came with a baseball bat, and he was like, "I need Kristin. You gotta let her go. You gotta let her go." And they were, I think they were so worried about my dad bringing so much heat to the house that they were just like, "All right, you got to go," and they let me out. And I think that I was very reluctant to leave because of the fact there were three other women that were there. I mean, literally, Chris, there were so we had I had they used to ask us each week, like, do you need anything, and they used to buy us like deodorant, shampoo, blah blah whatever. And I one week requested sidewalk chalk, and they brought me some sidewalk chalk, like the big fat chalk, and I drew windows and sunshines and gardens all on the basement doors because there were no windows. And I prayed the
Mm-hmm.
salvation prayer with all four of those women. Three of those women to this day have passed away. Two of them were murdered by by a trafficker. I don't know if it's the same people that we were with, and one of them is still alive. But I mean, it was a dark, dark time, so
Yeah.
I got out of there in 2006. I went to 2005. I went to jail for a little while, and then I went to Thistle Farms in Nashville, which is an amazing organization, and they helped me save myself. And ever
Yeah.
since 2008, I've been doing anti-trafficking and working in this work, and just I feel like that not everybody has parents that are going to come pull them out. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 to 4% of trafficking victims ever get out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let that sink in. 1 to 4%. That is a
Mm-hmm.
very small number. I 100% am so blessed with the parents that I had that like reached in and pulled me out of the fire so many times and saved me. That I feel that is a gift. That was a gift from God. That was a gift from
For
them.
sure.
And I feel like with that gift comes a responsibility. And that responsibility for me is to make sure that this no one happens to anybody. This no longer happens to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't save everybody. I know that. And that's one of the
Yeah.
really good things that I've learned with Ben. Like, and going for the one. Like there's so many people that we have tried to help that we just couldn't help at that time. But we're also seeing a lot of those people come back around now or come back around like a year later, 2 years later, of that we can help. And so, learning how to like navigate that. So since
Yes.
2008, this has been where I've been, and
And talking about that one, like I got to see that firsthand when I was there. Ben has a friend that's kind of like it's probably one of a few that's his one that I got to meet. She was supposed to get on a plane to rehab on Thursday, the morning we were leaving to go to Memphis. She didn't do it. I got to meet her. And I'll tell this story. I'll tell the story of meeting her later because it's really freaking hilarious. Jess has a friend that's a one that had disappeared and they found her Sunday. She was in the hospital. She was okay. It wasn't an overdose. But everybody has the one. There's like the one person on your mind that you're like, this is the one I want to go back and get.
yeah,
Yeah, the prodigal
absolutely.
kids, exactly. Jesus, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why that song, man, that's why that song,
I know that was,
Reckless
oh my God,
Love,
I was just in tears and I was so glad. So when
it's
I was
so
there in Memphis,
beautiful.
Tyler Paul, who runs
I
an
love
amazing
Tyler. Yep.
have you met Tyler?
Yep.
So Tyler runs
He's
an
on our
amazing
Bible study.
organization.
Yeah. He's on our
That's so
Friday
cool.
morning
And
Bible
so,
study.
yeah, so while I was there when I was at Sparrow. Oh, and remind me before we're done. I know we're probably gonna run out of time, but remind me before we're done. I did some research and some information. I looked up about what ravens and sparrows have in common. So, but when Tyler was there, he gave a guitar to somebody that had just gotten out, and he played for us. And we were just sitting in the living room at Sparrow and just like eating ham, Steve, and just tearing up. Like it was so impactful and it was so beautiful, and it was just like it was amazing. It was amazing. This is like this whole community, like literally everybody that I see comments from, and you, and like this is such a cool community.
It is, man. And
This is how we change
uh,
the world.
this is how we change the world. And I'm going to talk about this more over the next week or two. But like, I literally, my heart, like Memphis had a piece of my heart before I ever went up there to visit them. But after going up there to visit them, like Memphis literally has half my heart. Like there's not a doubt in my mind. There's going to be 4 or 5 trips a year to Memphis. You know, one because Ben and Jess are like, well, they're on our board, but I mean, they're also like our inspiration and our sister organization, or however you want to word it. But they're also like, after this weekend, they're family, and they'll tell you the same
Oh
thing
yeah,
about
one hundred percent. Yeah.
me and Kara and Josh. Like they are absolutely families, and
And
so are Josh and
family can
Chris and the
fight
rest
and
of
we can
everybody else
fuss.
we met.
Yeah, family can fight and we can fuss and we can get into it, but we all still love each other. I'm just gonna make that
Yeah,
note right there.
yeah.
But
So tell
I
yeah,
love, yeah.
sister organizations for sure, family 100%. So tell us, all right. So you've come through all of this. You've been working in the anti-trafficking space for since 2008, which is a minute. That was the year I went to prison. Was 2008. So that was 16.
I
No, I
probably should
can't
have went to
math.
prison that year.
I can't math. How long ago was that? 8,
It's like, I don't know, 20
10,
ish.
16, 17 years ago.
I don't know. I'm not a kid
Yeah,
math either.
17 years ago. Yeah, because I had a 15-year sentence that I discharged last year. So it's been 16 and a half years. Um, so you've been in this space for 16 years now. You have some cool apps that y'all are developing, and like tell us about the
Yeah.
whole technology aspect of it.
Yeah. So there's some really cool stuff going on. So number one, so there's a guy, his name is Joey Nolan. And he has developed an app. And I don't know if Josh Sneed is on this call, and I don't know
I
if Ben
hadn't
even
seen
knows
him.
about this. But this is something that we started getting. Chris probably knows about it. We were getting people signed up for the beta, like this time last year, maybe. So what it is it gamify? Okay, so this started from Chris Nolan. I'm sorry, Joey Nolan. Is his brother died of a heroin overdose, and he is an app developer, and he was like, oh my gosh, what can I do to like make things better? So he developed an app. So what it does, it's called Novus, Novus. They're currently requesting people to sign up to be beta users. Anybody that wants to email me, I can put it in the chat, or if you can, Chris, you can just put my email.
Okay.
We can
What's your
sign
email?
you.
I don't even know your email. If you want to
It's
put it,
I don't have anywhere to type. It's
you
Kristin,
do right here.
Kristin, and then the letter R, and then there it is. Okay, so let me hold on 1 second, guys. Kristin, R, on. Be sure you include that R in the middle, or else there's some other Kristin Vaughn in America that's getting tons of emails from me forever. Um, so so it's called Novus, and basically it gamifies recovery. So, for example, if you are um, going to recovery meetings, if you're going to your therapist, if you're going to work out at the gym for an hour, if you're going to do any of the things that the app has considered like beneficial to your recovery, you are getting like tokens. So, and when you add
Okay.
up those tokens, you can turn those in for Visa gift cards and Starbucks gift cards and stuff like that. And so that's something that we had presented to Flanders Fields and the We Fight Monsters and Rebos and whatnot. And so there are some people there that are actually a lot. I think like 78 people through them that have signed up for the beta. So that's going to be launched August the
Nice.
1st. So which is really cool. The other one is it's the app I'm working on, which I'm really excited about. So it is an app that it's 16 categories. It's like legal, childcare, OBGYN, transportation, housing, tattoo removal with our sister Jessica Lamb. Like she does Atlanta Redemption Inc. Like there's all these categories, but these are survivor vetted, survivor crowdsourced organizations. So I don't know if you know this, but a lot of anti-trafficking organizations, or recovery organizations, anti-addiction organizations they re-victimize and they re-traumatize
I believe
people
that.
a lot. And so this is a 100% safe way to know. Like literally, like if you don't know me personally, you're not going to be on this app. And I think we've got, I don't know, like 3,000 or 4,000 people on this app. We were gonna originally launch it August the 7th, but we're still working. The back end is done, the database is done, all of that is done. we're still working on like making it pretty and accessible and stuff. And so that's going to be
Sure.
launched October the 17th and 18th. Roger Dehart and Dr. Francine Bonaneri are doing a walk in Washington, D.C. for anti-trafficking. So I'm going to be launching it there then. And then
Okay.
the other third thing that I want to talk about is there is a individual. His name is Joshua Eckstein. He is in Pennsylvania. He is doing some really really cool work with he is getting some things, and he's working with major transportation. And he sent me talking points, but I did not read them. So sorry, Josh, if you're listening. I'm just flying off the cuff here. But he is working with the local and regional and statewide transportation systems to put on buses, trains, etc. Like if you're being trafficked, what to do if you see trafficking, what to what needs to happen. And he's doing it all in like it's like 9, 10 different languages, and he's just like one of those kids out there. And I say kid because he's literally 17. Like he's 17 years old. And
Wow.
let me also say the CEO of the app I talked about before, the Novus app,
Uh-huh.
Ian, is also 17. So I don't know where they are creating these 17-year-olds, but they are badass. Like when
Man,
I
when I
was
was
17, I was
17,
just trying to stay out of jail.
when I was 17, so when I was 17, let me think, we had dial up. Um, the Pentium
Yeah.
processor was like the crap, and it was 75 megahertz, not even gigahertz.
Right. And if anybody in
Um,
your house used the phone, you had to get off the internet.
yeah, you did. You had to get off the internet, and like it would take forever to download stuff. It took forever to check your email, like all that. So yeah, like when I was, yeah,
So
that's
like the
crazy.
fact
A
that these
17-year-old
17-year-olds.
CEO.
And then I was also on a podcast recently with George Payrutin, who Ben, as I know Ben's listening, who also interviewed Sarah Adams, who is a friend of ours, who's got all of these like really like high level like ex intelligence, infosec, OSINT people. Like I'm like, how are you 17-year-olds doing all this stuff? Like what are
Yeah,
they feeding you? So, but
right.
yeah, so that's just sort of me in a nutshell. And I'm open to any questions or any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, y'all, if y'all have any questions, y'all drop them in the comments. We'll make sure we get them answered. Um, let me think.
Oh my
Like
God,
I'm
Leanne,
really,
you've got mail. Yeah.
yeah, you've got mail. So like we didn't even have like in my house, I didn't even have AOL. We had Juno. It was Juno
Same.
email.
So I live out in the country, and what's funny, my dad worked for the phone company, retired from the phone company. He actually is the one that put like some of the phone lines in the Pentagon, like big phone company guy, retired and everything. So, but where we lived, it was like there was like an exchange rate for where I had to
Hmm.
call to like log into like BBS or whatever, and it was I think there was like a $600 phone bill one month. So and they used to actually take my keyboard away from me at night because I was on the computer, and I think I stole one from my mom was a teacher. I stole one from her computer lab. Hey mom, so if you're listening, yeah. So did that. I'm admitting
Yeah,
that now, but yeah,
that was back in the days of AOL Instant Messenger. Only some of y'all will know about
yeah.
that. So what is like what's in the future? Not like aside from the apps, aside from all the technological stuff. Like, what do you see yourself, or what is on the horizon for the next year or so for you?
So I have this really something that I've got. Thank you so much for asking that. Um, and we did not pre-plan these questions, y'all. Like
I never
that's
do. Yeah, if
yeah, I know. Like
anybody
that's
watching,
like
Alina can
yeah.
testify to this. Josh Sneed can, so can Ben and Jess, and
Those
Kelly
are great
Steinick if
questions.
she's watching.
So
I don't script anything.
I have this whole plan. So I've been probably in the last 2 years doing a lot of OSINT stuff, open source intelligence for anybody that doesn't know, with our buddies, with like Larry Cameron and all those folks. And I've like which are way smarter than me. But I'm learning so much. But I think that it would be amazing to have a group of survivor hunters. So there has been multiple times in the past year and a half that like attorney general's offices have contacted me, um, like in different law enforcement, and they're like, hey, we have a runaway, or we have somebody that that law enforcement isn't looking for. Like, we know people, what can you do? And I think it's been like 30 cases in the last year, and we found multiple people. Like, most recently, a friend of mine that's a survivor leader was kind of missing, and we found her, and and helping her and stuff. And so it's I want to train other survivors to do that, because the empowerment, the level of like that, it's like us taking back everything that traffickers took from us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. being
No, you're
able
good.
being able to do that for people, being able
Mm-hmm.
to find people, being able to, be the ones that show up when our brothers and our sisters go missing. Being that has been so huge for me. And I want to, and I've got a whole proposal, and I've developed a program and everything, but it's just, as usual, lacks funding. I want to
Yeah.
find a way to where, and I've got people on deck to, there's a lot of really amazing organizations that have been willing to step in and be like, hey, I'll help provide training or whatever, to be able to like train other survivors. I would like to start with a small cohort of like 5, and like
Mm-hmm.
move from there where it would be a paid training. So like, a lot of stuff that they ask survivors to do is just not paid. And so I want to make sure that survivors are getting paid and making a livable wage. And so being able to, you know, do that, I think that's where I would like to see myself. I
I
don't know if
love it.
that's where I see myself in a year, but that's where I would like to see myself in a year.
I absolutely love that. Ben has a question. Not all of it is going to show up on screen, so I'm going to read it. He said, Kristen, I have an all ball question. Dope boys obviously traffic women and drugs alike. Has anyone ever looked into building a labor trafficking case on one? They essentially enslave addicts and get them to sell the dope by paying them in dope, no money for all the labor they put in.
That is a
Definitely
genius
using
question.
addiction as a tool of coercion, and they get the addict to take 100% of the risk using dope that isn't theirs to make all the hand-to-hand transactions.
That is a genius question. Thank you, Ben. No, I know of no other cases such as that. And leave it to you and our ADH brains to come up with like something so off the wall that makes so much sense.
It does. If you can't get them on
I'm
human
gonna
trafficking, get them on labor trafficking.
no, it makes sense because you're literally
Yeah.
getting paid. And I would 100% say that, like, like I was working for, like, my sex trafficking could probably be considered a labor trafficking thing. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
was working for the dope that I was given to do the work that I did. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, great question, Ben.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, Cherry. Do you have a resource for sex traffic survivor groups internationally? My sister's in the Philippines. I do
Yes,
not. And
I do.
Kristen might, though.
I do. I have several. Cherry, please text me. The one that I'm gonna highlight is Survivor Alliance. You have to join though as a member, so she would have to do like a quick 30-minute Zoom call. And this for anybody listening. Is Survivor Alliance is an amazing organization, and we do like social calls every month. We do like Zoom calls, and I actually started a prayer group out of it. So every other Saturday there are, or I'm sorry, one Saturday a month there are Zoom calls, and then on the third Saturday of the month, I host a prayer group for those same survivors.
Awesome. Yeah, Cherry, we are like in the conceptual phase of it. Like we are still forming and figuring out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, we have some resources, but I don't have anything internationally. So I'm glad Kristen was on here, was able to do that. So, and she's actually watching from your page. So, shoot her a DM. She'll be able to hook you up with
Yeah, I
that.
will. Yeah, she's a good friend of mine. Cherry is one of those people. She's amazing. She just jumps in. Like, I mean, there were times last year I couldn't pay my electric bill. I couldn't pay for my dog to go to the vet, and she just jumped in and
Mm-hmm.
helped. So thank you so much, Cherry.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, it's kind of along the same lines as Rico, isn't it, Ben? Like it's really, really similar, and it's probably they could probably get traffickers under Rico for that.
Yeah, that makes total
Um,
sense. And I'm surprised.
yeah.
Hey Ben, we need to talk to what's his name? What's that attorney that I can't think of his last name right now. But anyways, there's an attorney that Ben and I have spoken. Weiss, Weiss, Weiss. That guy, he probably knows about that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Min wants to know how to learn more about the prayer group.
Just send me. So it's just open to survivors. So just feel free if you self-identify as a survivor of human trafficking, just shoot me a message and I'll send you the link.
Awesome. What resources are available within our nation?
Oh well, of course, Kalila's going to ask that question. She's asking this question just because. Okay, ah, so there
Just
are
to make
many.
it, she probably knows already,
She's
doesn't
doing
she?
this
She
on
just wants
purpose.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are
And
many
I don't even
reasons.
know Kalila, but I just sent her a friend request a few
Well,
minutes ago.
Kalila is amazing. First of all, that's my very best friend. So there are so many resources available statewide. As far as federally, literally all we kind of have is Polaris, which is why a lot of us fought to defeat HR 2601, which is when the attorney generals tried to shut down, the human trafficking hotline, which Khalil was there with me. Like we shut that down. Like we made sure that Polaris was still able to stay in action. Now a lot of states are now instituting like their own hotlines, but
Mm-hmm.
the really messed up thing is we're having to depend on private organizations. For example, We Fight Monsters, and to do the things that the government is already paid to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't like to get political, but both candidates that we have right now have substantially cut funding for anti-trafficking efforts. One did in his previous presidency, one did in his current presidency, and the other than private NGOs, I me personally, I would not depend on a state or a national hotline. I would depend on people like Ben and Jess or people like organizations like, so for example, I'm with the Virginia Coalition Against Human Trafficking. If you're in Virginia, you can call me and I can probably find somewhere a placement or find you some help. My phone number is, it's publicly available. It's always open. I spend many a night on the phone with victims, with survivors, with organizations, with agencies, placing people. I would not put your full trust in state and national
No,
hotlines.
like Ben says all the time, bureaucracy kills progress. It's up
Yeah,
to us.
nobody's
Nobody else
coming.
is
It's up to
coming.
us. Yep. Yeah.
Like, and just to relate it to, in the same thing applies to human trafficking, but he talks
One
about the
thousand percent.
war on drugs has been a massive failure because they're trying to
Oh
go
my
from
gosh.
the top
Can you
down.
imagine? Can you imagine if they took the money, like if they just took half the money from the war on drugs and they took half the money that they've spent on the war on trafficking just in the last 5 years? Just in the last 5 years. Do you know what people like me and Ben and Kalila and Yolanda and do you know what people like us and do you know we could all do with like $100,000?
Mm-hmm.
Like it is so okay. This is a whole other podcast. I will stop.
No, for real though, if they had taken what they spent and invested it in nonprofits like ours to actually get in there and do some work, imagine how much we could get done.
And I love so there's a somebody that I know in the comments that says, "Well, Kristen says she's available to help and find resources. She's means it,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows I mean it because I literally am like up at 4 in the morning, like finding places for people to go. Like there's Cherry. I don't know about Hawaii. Oh, but you need to connect with like yeah, message me later. I have some friends there. I'm friends with their task force. But yeah, I like my mom taught me when I was little, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I've sort of kind of made it my business to just like know everybody. And a friend of
Mm-hmm.
mine, like last year called me. She was like, "You're the concierge of anti-trafficking," just because I know everybody. But this is the thing, Chris. Like, there's so many different factions. There's the in-demand people. Then there's the equality model. Then there's law enforcement. Then there's faith-based. Then there's non-faith-based. There's private NGOs. I work with everybody, and
Yeah.
I'm one of the few. Like, I work with sex workers. I work with, there's so many different, people that I work with, and I really, there's not a lot of things I've done right in my life, but I've tried really, really, really hard to make sure that, like, the work that I do in this space is impeccable. It is transparent. I know you guys have probably seen me like raising money multiple times on LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever. And I'm always like, I try to be so careful about that because I care about this work so much that I will not do anything to jeopardize that. And like,
Yeah.
uh, am I broke most of the time? Yeah. Do I worry about how I'm going to pay my bills most days? Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's no way that I could go back to being a chef. It's all so irrelevant to me now. This is so important to me that I'm not going anywhere.
No, I agree 100%. And that's kind of like, it's where I'm at. Like, I have a good job. I mostly like my job. I've been here since 2016, so I've been here for almost 8 years now. Um, but now all of a sudden, like, my passion is flipped, and I want to be doing the Raven stuff full time.
Yeah.
Like that, it consumes me. It makes it
It's
hard
you're right. It's
to
so hard.
focus. How the hell am I supposed to focus on what needs to get checked in and what paperwork needs to be
But
done?
Chris, you got it. A lot of us joke when we say we have to do our adult jobs so that we
Yeah.
can go do the things that we care about.
Yeah, I know. I already know.
Yeah.
I'm just believing God's going to grow this thing though big enough where I can go full time with it for
100%.
sure. Or Kara and I
100%.
both can. My
And
sister, my
you
sister
got people
Kara and I
like
both
Ben and
can.
Jess in your corner and all the,
Mm-hmm.
and Kelly and Christy and, and me and Alina, like all of us, like we're 100% supporting you. Like whatever we can do to help you, I know that we all will. And I mean, what is it with friends like these? How can I go wrong?
Yeah, and let me just say this out loud because Kelly and Christy did this for me. This is how I got hooked up with Ben and Jess. So I'm going to do this for Alina. Alina, I know you're watching because you just commented. Kelly Steinica, she's in the comments on Facebook, and Christy Howard have an amazing live stream show called The Awesome Journey. That's how I met Ben and Jess. They said, if you're going to come on, you have to go on Chris's show. Kelly and Christy have been wanting to get you on for a long time. So I'm asking you, please go on their show and tell your story. You will not regret it. They're amazing people. They're how I met Ben and Jess. They've been just huge supporters of both of us through all of this. So anyway, that's my plug, Alina. Please go on the show.
They are both super sweethearts, and I love them
They
both
are.
to pieces.
They are.
They're amazing. And
Yep.
I want one of Kelly's hats with the bling.
With the bling, yeah. With the bling on it. Hey, she has that blinged out microphone too,
She does. Oh gosh, I forgot about that. I was like, you need to start a merch line.
She does. I know it. She made let me see if I can find it and I'll share it. She made a badass there it is. AI version of me.
The AI version of you. Oh, did you? Okay, so that was ChatGPT 4.0. Somebody needs to take that away from me.
I don't do AI at all. I'm not real good at it at all.
I'm sorry. I'm just so ADHD on these comments right here. Yeah, there you go. Oh, that's great. No, that's perfect.
With Christy and Kelly on the computer in the background. Isn't that bad? It's got the Hit Productions hat.
I love it.
Hit Productions hat right here. Isn't that cool?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that Ben will appreciate this comment. I think that Kevin Metcalf and Dan Stinson might be fighting you for the award of Sexy Santa if you keep growing the beard like that.
Where's
have
that
you got
one?
to meet Kevin or Dan Stinson?
I have. Kevin who?
He does, right? He looks like Metcalf in that picture.
Oh, Kevin Metcalf, bro. Like I just connected with him on Facebook and LinkedIn. He sent me a connection request on both platforms.
Well,
Yeah, he does look like Santa.
so Dan Stinson, his actual call sign is Santa Six, like Santa's got your six. Okay. But Kevin Metcalf, somebody's called him Sexy Santa. And so I was
Okay.
with Dan and I told Dan about it. And he was like, "What do you mean he's a sexy Santa?" So I think it's just the beard. So I think maybe there might be a sexy Santa toss up. I don't know. We could use it for a fundraiser. Let's do it.
I don't know how the hell I had me full screened and you weren't even on here while we were talking. I have no idea how that happened. Say, Leanne, you hush. That's like
Yes,
I've been friends with her. You know, I told you I worked at an animal clinic when I was like in. Her and I worked there together back in the day, way back in the day, and
right.
we're still friends. It is there. It is there. I just keep
So
trimming it.
she knows. So she knows about like the xylazine and all that, right?
She does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's
And
what's
she
so
worked
scary
up.
now.
She worked for the vet up until just a few years ago.
And
Like she has a
that's how
25-year career
that's
as a
how
vet
even
tech.
Ben and I got connected. I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, and I saw what he was doing with We Fight Monsters of Flanders Fields, and I was like, you know what? I was like, there's something new going on here. I know that you work with addicts, blah blah, whatever. Do you know anything about this new drug called Trank? And he was like, yeah, we've seen it. And I was like, what the fuck is it? And it's xylazine and fentanyl. Like,
That's a
who
bad
just wakes up
combination.
one day that it's like, oh, we could just mix these two things together? It's
Yeah, yeah. I've seen what it does to dogs and horses and cats. Like, why the hell would you even want to take that, especially mixed with fentanyl?
right. And that's why, like, the Narcan's not even touching it because, and then some
It
like
doesn't block. It's not an opiate. It
like
doesn't block the
yeah,
receptors.
exactly. Like it can stop
Yep.
the Narcan. I mean, it can stop the fentanyl, but that xylazine is still. So, but what we've learned recently, well, not recently, but what we've learned is that, again, the drug traffickers are very much the same people as the sex traffickers, dope boys, whatever you want to call them. When you cut, and you know this, when you cut a drug with something, it makes it go further. It makes there be more of it, so they can make more money, and they don't give it who it harms. So
No,
that's
they
where
don't.
that's coming from, which is just bananas. It's
Yep.
wild to me. It's wild.
Yep. For sure. Kristen, this is like we've gone for an hour, and I don't even feel like it's been an hour. That's crazy. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Um, is there any last closing thoughts you want to leave us with before I do my little plug at the end?
I just want to thank everybody that came. Thank you to A, to my friends that are here, and for supporting me. And thank you for always supporting me in the stuff that I do. I couldn't do this work without every single one of you,
For sure.
every single day. I couldn't. The text messages, the calls, the emails, everything that I do with all of you. Like, there's no way that I could do this. And you guys are the ones that build me up. And thank you, Chris, for giving me the opportunity to have this platform to
Yeah,
speak
absolutely.
about this. And I mean, I can't say enough good things about all the people on here and you and I know we talked a little bit before, and um I was really excited to see that you were able to go to Memphis to work with Ben. Especially, I've been following your journey, like most recently because of your brother, and I've actually added a whole area into our presentation that we do for healthy human trafficking on fentanyl because
Mm-hmm.
we knew that it needed to be there, but like your brother passing is what really kind of galvanized us to do that. And so I'm very sorry for what your family went through.
Thank
And
you.
just love and prayers and support. And you have a whole community backing you. I'm so proud of what
I
you're
do.
doing. I'm so proud of everything that you and your sweet wife are doing. And
No, that's
I
my
take
sister. I
you
don't
in to
have a
be part of.
wife.
Well, I'm sorry. Listen, your sister.
My
I just saw
sister,
the
my
last name. I
brother-in-law.
just assumed it was your wife. Yeah, your sister.
There's Robert Coleman. There he
Yeah.
is.
Hey, Robert. Oh, and Terry's here. No, and I'm just so I get really passionate about this stuff, and I love, 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 love. Like this community, like literally, if we could take everybody right here, right now, that's in these comments, that's in this chat, we could solve world peace by Monday. I firmly believe it. There's
Right.
so many There are so many talented people here. There's so many, like from Alina to Kalila to Ben, everybody. There are so many people here that have so much wisdom and so much knowledge. And if we take that collective knowledge and we work together, like that is the only way through this. That is the only way that we're going to make a mark on trafficking, that we're going to make a mark on addiction, that we're going to make a mark on homelessness, all of that.
Come on.
We have
Come
to work
on.
together and like
Nobody
politics
else is
aside.
coming.
Right, exactly. It is up to us. Politics aside, no, politics literally means nothing to us. Like we're it. We're it. We're the
Yeah.
generation that's going to fix things. And so, thank you everybody just so much for showing up and staying and listening to me ramble. And I love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And I'm gonna talk about politics for just a second. And I learned
Yeah,
this from Ben this weekend was you can have your stance on whatever you believe in, and that's fine. But if you go posting about it, whatever side you're on, and you're talking about it and you're downing people because they don't believe whether you believe, and just to be completely transparent, like I'm a conservative Christian, so you already know where I'm at with that. But if you start posting about that and beating people over the head with it, you're not going to reach anybody.
correct.
Forget like you're going to turn off donors. Forget
You're
that.
You're going to
But you're
eliminate a
going to
whole population
eliminate.
of people that may potentially want to support you or donate to you or help you by
And
doing
like I
that.
said,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And like take the donation part out of it, although that is a big part of how we, keep this stuff
It's
going.
the biggest part.
But imagine if you were caught up in trafficking or addiction, and I'm like, well, you're living this lifestyle that I don't agree with. So, here, this is the way it is. I'm not going to reach you like that. So I absolutely refuse. And this is as political as I will ever get, is this right here after learning this from Ben. You just don't do it. You love people exactly where they're at because the political crap does not matter. Doesn't
And
matter whether you're left or right.
you have to not only love people where they're at, you have to meet them where they're at. So
Exactly.
and I'm gonna just get religious for a second. When Jesus talks about the people that we're gonna help, we go to the streets. We go with people like Ben and Jess at 3 a.m. to the middle of South Memphis and we hand out toys. We go to people and we give them food in the middle of Richmond. We
Yeah.
go to those people. And it doesn't matter if you hand somebody at a gas station $50 and they go in and buy beer. So what? That is no longer your choice. You gave them $50. Like we
Yeah.
need to meet people where they are at.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Kristen, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. Next week, I have Jennifer Farley on, the lady I was talking about earlier. Listen, y'all, listen, like you got to be there. I'm just telling you, you got to be there to hear this story. Like I got chills. I laughed, I cried, like all the things talking to Jennifer on Saturday night. You got to be here next week. She's absolutely amazing. If you want a hat, just like this one, the Raven hat, which the little deuces, which is a nod to my brother because he was always throwing the deuce. Or if you want a shirt like this fentanyl terrorism shirt, you need to send me or my sister Kara Henson a message. If you're not connected to either one of us, connect with us. And like I said, hell, if you have to, send Ben or Jess a message. If you're connected to them, they'll get you connected to us. We're doing a limited run on these shirts and hats right now till we get the website up. So if you want one, let us know. Send us a message. We'll make sure you get it.
Can I read something real quick
Please.
that I wrote right prior to this? Okay, so
Yeah.
So this is about how sparrows and ravens.
Oh yeah. Tell us that, please.
So on one hand, sparrows are small and often overlooked, but they are symbols of resilience and community. These tiny birds are ubiquitous, found in almost every corner of the world. Sparrows are known for their social nature, living in flocks and often nesting close to human habitats. Despite their size, they exhibit a keen intelligence using their surroundings to find food and shelter efficiently. They also do not play with anybody that messes with their family. Ravens, known for their sleek black feathers and impressive size, are often associated with mystery and intellect. They are the smartest of all the birds. They're incredibly smart, capable of problem solving, using tools, and even can mimic human speech. Their adaptability allows them to thrive in diverse environments from dense forests to urban landscapes. What ties ravens and sparrows together is their shared adaptability and intelligence. Both species have thrived in a wide range of environments, showcasing nature's incredible ability to evolve and survive. Additionally, both birds play a significant role in their ecosystems, whether it's the raven's role as a scavenger, cleaner, and care of its community, or sparrow's contribution to controlling insect populations. Both birds are the top in controlling the health and safety of their communities.
I love that. That is freaking awesome. Like that just even just more confirms like, and I'll tell this story. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again later of how we got the raven. Um, that just confirms it again, all over again. That's beautiful. I love that. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, guys. Let's see. I think that's it. I think that's all I have. Join us next week, same time, same bat channel. If you want some merch, shoot us a DM. We got you, Kristin. Thank you again. This was awesome. It was absolutely amazing. So thank you.
Thank
Hang
you.
on. Let's see what Ben said real quick. This is her superpower that you got to know her to see. She's an incredible writer and will put insane research into everything she writes, as evidenced by the Raven versus Sparrow piece just now. Yeah, for real. Like, I don't even know that Kara saw that simulation there whenever she was researching Birds of the Bible. Because when we wanted to come up with a logo, we knew we wanted it to be a nod to We Fight Monsters because they're our sister org. They're parent org or whatever you want to call it. So we wanted a bird for our logo. We didn't want it to be a sparrow, though, obviously. So that's awesome. Yeah, so cool. Thank you all so much. If I'm not connected to any of you on Facebook or LinkedIn, I've sent a couple of you friend requests. Please send me a connection request on either platform or both, either one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
if any of my connections, I was gonna say, if any of my
connect.
connections, if y'all aren't connected with Kristin, she's on Facebook and LinkedIn. Y'all go hit her up. I know she'd love to be connected with you for sure.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Chris. You guys have a rest of your night. Thank you so much for just joining us, everybody.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.